Peter and Jesus is about a proud, passionate man, a follower of Jesus who is determined to be the best no matter what. Jesus and the disciples were in the upper room just before he was taken away, and Jesus said to them, "You're going to desert me." And everybody just sort of remained quiet, but Peter says, "No, not me, Lord. I'll never leave you." And then the scene changes and we see Jesus taken away and Peter in the courtyard. And a young girl says, "Weren't you with him?" "Not me. No, it wasn't me." Someone else, "Hey, didn't I see you with him?" No, not me." Someone else, "Weren't you?" And before he gets a chance to speak, the rooster crows 3 times. And this incredibly sad verse where Jesus, as Peter looks over his shoulder and sees Jesus looking at him. Well, then we have the Good Friday story and the Easter Sunday story of resurrection and joy. And then we see Jesus in the upper room again, meeting with his disciples. This should have been a time for great joy, but instead we find Peter, the man dejected, the man full of self-doubt, the man frustrated with his own inadequacy not to be able to stand up for the one he loved, leaving his mission and going back to what he used to do. We find him fishing, the disciples in the boat. And we see Jesus on the shore. And Jesus comes to them and says, and I'm reading from John 21 in verse 12. "Now come and have some breakfast," Jesus said. None of the disciples dared ask him, "Who are you?" They knew it was the Lord. Then Jesus served them bread and fish. This was the 3rd time Jesus had appeared to his disciples since he was raised from the dead. I have this picture of Jesus standing on the shoreline and calling out to Peter, "Peter, come on. I know what you did, but I know what you need. So come to me." And we see Peter getting out of the boat and coming to Jesus, and Jesus greeting him on the shoreline. And there's a fire ready, and there's fish cooking, and they come and they do life together. In their talking together, this is a story of hope. This is the very essence of the gospel in this story. You see, Jesus was all about restoration and forgiveness. That's why he lived, that's why he died, that's why he was risen. For us to know the incredible Father heart of God, that love that says there is nothing beyond my forgiveness. There is nothing beyond my restoration. So Jesus sits with Peter and they're eating together and sharing together. When someone falls short, have you noticed that we usually don't trust them? You trust someone with something and they don't deliver, and you automatically think, "Well, I'm not going to let them do that again," or "I'm not going to give them that much again." But this isn't the heart of Jesus. Peter had failed, and yet there was still hope. Look at verse 15. After breakfast, Jesus asked Simon Peter, "Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these?" "Yes, Lord," Peter replied. "You know that I love you." Now, in the Greek language, there are 3 words for love, and you're probably familiar with them. The word eros, which is really a physical love. The word phileo, which is a brotherly or fond type of love. And then the word agape. It's the word of I love you most of all. I love you supremely. You are the focus of my love. Jesus said, "Do you love me?" And what does Peter reply? He says, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." This is a sort of a reply of, "Well, yeah, I do love you. I'm fond of you." That philo love that we were talking about. And what does Jesus say? Feed my lambs. In other words, Peter, I'm not sure. Let me give you something small to start with. Again, we see Jesus asking a similar question. He says in verse 16, Simon, son of John, do you love me? Yes, Lord, you know that I love you. Again, this answer of, I do love you. I'm fond of you. I care for you. And what does Jesus say? Take care of my sheep. In other words, here's a little bit more I'm going to give you, just to see how it is. And then a third time, he asks Simon, Simon, son of John, do you love me? And it says Peter was hurt that Jesus had asked the question a third time. He said, Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you. He said, feed my sheep, a higher responsibility. It's no coincidence that Jesus asks this 3 times. For every denial that Peter had made in that courtyard, Jesus wanted to reinstate, forgive, and show that there is a new purpose for him. 3 times he asked, do you love me? And each time Jesus said, I have something for you to do. This is a fresh mission, Peter. You doubted yourself. You didn't believe that there could be forgiveness, that there could be a change. I'm telling you, I have something new for you. Look after my church. You're a follower, and now I'm making you a leader. This is an amazing story, a story of hope and forgiveness and renewal. In Psalm 71, verse 20, it says these words, and let me read them to you. You have allowed me to suffer much hardship, but you will restore to me life again and lift me up from the depths of the earth. You will restore me to even greater honour and comfort me once again. This is a story of sacrificial love, the love of Jesus Christ giving his life so that we could have life and have it in all fullness. My mum, who's well in her 80s now, is a woman who has the heart of God. Growing up, I never heard my mum say a bad word about anyone, which is more than I can say about myself at times. But she just has this incredible ability to believe the best in people and want the best in people. And I can remember almost 40 years ago now, my dad was killed from a one punch. And I can remember when the man who did it was convicted of manslaughter and given community, I think you call it community work. So instead of jail, he did so many hours within the community. And I can remember my mum being asked about this by a journalist and how she felt. And her words were, we have to show love to people and forgiveness. It doesn't change what they've done. It doesn't change the impact of what they've done. But it changes my heart so that I can actually live well in life. And for us, God wants us to know that very forgiveness. It doesn't change what we've done, but it actually changes our heart to live well and be the people that he wants us to be. So I pray this Mother's Day that you will hear the voice of God saying to you, do you love me supremely? Do you love me as number one? If you do, I will give to you all that you need to live a happy and healthy life. I will entrust you with my mission. I will bring value to what you do because I love you. And you in turn will love others who will love others. And before we know it, the world's changed simply because God first loved us.